Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are in the Iowa and we're on the Atlantic. And if you've already looked at the title, then you know what's coming. This is another breaking down failure video. And these are videos that I'm kind of, if you're new to the channel, this is a unique kind of look at what I do wrong sometimes. And hopefully you guys enjoy. I think it's important, as anybody who plays a game and wants to get better, to be able to analyze your own gameplay from the last match and figure out what you could have done different, so that in the future you avoid making the same mistakes. This match is no different, and you're going to see. Now, it's going to take some time, but we'll go over what goes wrong at the end of this video. But as we go through it, I think I'm the only one that does this, really. Most people play just their best games, that's all they put on their channels, which is fine. And, you know, being able to put out a video showing, hey, I can screw up just like anybody else. Or, sometimes it's not even me that screws up. Sometimes my teammates potato at the wrong time, and that costs us the win as well. And so that's what breaking down failure is all about. But in a breaking down failure, rather than just like calling people out, that ain't what this is about. This is more of a, let's see what went wrong, when it went wrong, and how it cost us the match. And so that's what we're going to get into in this one. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice that there are three of us over here on the left side. It's a domination match, which means generally we want to win our side. And there's a Kutuzov who is sailing in a straight line at maximum range. Not quite. He's at 15 kilometers, so he's well within range to be touched, which is not where you want to be in a Kutuzov in open water. Wait for it, and we get a good hit. 7,000 damage. Not an amazing hit, but enough to get his attention. In theory. Now, anytime you're in a dispersion-built battleship and you see a Kutuzov, he needs to be your #1 priority. Why? Because of his ability to burn you to pieces. Now, surely the island said I couldn't shoot over it. However, I take the shot anyway, just in case. And we do get a hit. Because you got to remember that when you're looking in a position that the game is trying to determine whether your guns are going to fire over it, it might be using the front guns to determine whether you're firing over it, and the rear guns still may be able to fire over that mountain. So again, comes down to my favorite saying from any sports ever, which is you're gonna miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So sometimes you just got to take them. And now the Kutuzov is playing with fire. You just cannot do this in a Kutuzov. You give up your only advantage of being untouchable, and he gets extremely lucky that he doesn't get obliterated. I have killed Kutuzovs for far less than that. Luckily, the Benson's torpedoes were kind of, we knew it was going to be coming. So we back off. We don't even take a single torpedo. And now, because the Benson is there, we want to take a shot. Even though we're blind firing a little bit, I figure there's a good chance we'll hit him. Unfortunately, we don't. But we want to try to get the most dangerous people off our backs first. Now, there's a couple Iowas out there that are starting to look pretty dangerous. But a destroyer in close proximity and a Kutuzov who is constantly spamming high explosive at me every 4 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever they fire at, is something that we need to deal with. Now, we're on fire twice, so we're going to go ahead and burn a damage con here. Even though he's still potentially able to shoot us, we're not spotted at the moment, which means the Benson is gone. Luckily for us, the Benson is dead. So now we're not detected by the Kutuzov. We've taken a good chunk of his health, and our teammates are shooting at him from the center. We've got a couple Iowas out here, and they are broadside on and just begging to be punished. So we're going to see if we can't make that happen. Now, he's going a little slow. He's not full speed, so we don't give him the full two bar lead that we normally give battleships at any range. And that's a pretty solid hit, but he started to turn away just in time, unfortunately, meaning that we bounced 3 out of the 4 shells that we hit him with off of him. Not perfect. But now that the Benson is gone, it's a domination, so trying to take the cap is a major play. Now, this Iowa here is just not smart. This is not a position you want to be in an Iowa. Sticking your nose around the corner like that, flat, is death. You don't want to do it, and we easily Citadel him. He's lucky he didn't get multiple Citadels from that salvo. And then the Kutuzov, not to be outdone, just like, if the Iowa can do it, if it's good for the Iowa, it's good for me. But the Iowa just got hit for 20,000 damage. What are you doing, Kutuzov? This is not good for you. Good for me, because I can get you off the map. Wait for it, shot out, and surely I can't miss him from here. Nope. Down he goes, and there goes the fire threat. So we immediately extinguish it. Why? Because he's gone. There's no reason to stay on fire. The Iowas are both shooting armor piercing, so I'm not in threat of being set on fire again. It's just armor piercing. But we have taken significant amounts of damage from the Iowas and mostly the Kutuzov. So now that they're gone, we have to try to win this cap. Now, I'm having to reverse a little bit because I'm the only one getting shot currently. There's a cruiser way back behind me. I don't see any shots coming out from him. And the destroyer that's here is not in a position to actually do anything for torping or anything like that. So he's capturing the base. I need to just put some distance between me and the bad guys and try not to be detected for a little bit. And hopefully our team can help us out. But if you look, the teams are slightly skewed. We are missing an extra ship. They have a one-ship advantage. And then the Iowa does it again, only this time he comes out of a better angle. So good for him, he learned his lesson the first time, but still, I'll take the shot. Yeah, we only get one penetration there, the other two bounced. Again, this time instead of coming out flat broadside, he was coming out at an angle and he was moving. However, he runs around the corner right into torpedoes from my teammate, except my teammate only hit him with one torpedo. I don't know how. I really don't. But then he goes broadside onto me. The Benson dies, unfortunately. And unfortunately for this Iowa, you ain't surviving this. Goodbye. We didn't even have to Citadel him. But from this close, it's hard not to hit an Iowa that's broadside. And if he had enough health, we probably could have potentially Citadeled him there. But the main thing for us, instead of getting the Citadel, was to just shoot him. I was trying to save my teammate, but unfortunately I was just a little bit slow. Now, the Iowa that's on my left had a pretty good shot at us. We're not angled very well against him, which is why we were taking some extra damage there. Plus, he was hitting towards the superstructure and probably getting some penetrations through the deck. And that's something that I bring up about the Iowa all the time. Because it's such a long ship, shots into the superstructure can tend to overpin the superstructure and go down through the deck and give you a lot of consistent damage. So that's something I bring up against Iowas all the time. Everybody's, oh, they're so OP. But when you're against them, they're really not. As long as you know what you're doing, you can tear an Iowa apart pretty quickly. It has very good bow armor. It's got iffy side armor, and it's got very good guns. So you've got to be careful about all of that. But if you know what you're doing, it's not a hard shell to crack. And you can see our teammates spamming high explosive at him, which is fine. He's a cruiser, except he's shooting back at our cruiser, and that's not preferable. So we're going to take the shot over the top of the mountain here. You can see I'm about to run aground. I've already tried to put it in reverse. And it looks like we are going to get in reverse to avoid it. But notice where the torpedoes are coming from. That's not preferable. As our Vanguard there takes 2 torpedoes right up the prop shaft. Not preferable. So we know there's a destroyer behind us. We have the lead currently, as long as we don't lose any ships. So the fact that our cruiser is charging a battleship instead of turning around to find the destroyer is disconcerting, because that's not a fight you're going to win in a cruiser. It's just not. You cannot charge an Iowa in open waters in a cruiser. It doesn't end well. And now we try to get around the island here and also try to get our rear guns involved, because the more shells we can shoot at the Iowa while he's not paying attention to us, the more damage we're going to get off of him, the quicker we're going to be able to kill him. So while he's not paying attention to us, we're going to try to hit him. And I'm also trying to hit just above his guns while he's reversing, so that maybe I get a spare shot and knock out one of his guns in the process. We're trying our best to protect our teammates, even though they seem to all have death wish. Now, the teammate right now is safe. He's behind an island. He doesn't have to get himself into too much trouble. Unfortunately, we're going to take at least one torpedo here. Can I avoid the second one? Oh, it's going to be close. Don't swing the butt. Yep, we're good. We're good. And unfortunately, that torpedo is probably going to be the death of us. But how is that going to be the death of you, Spartan? Well, I just had to burn my damage con because it caused flooding. And this Iowa, who just fired at us, allows me to get our third gun involved again. We get some good damage against him, and we temporarily knock out one of his front guns, which is what we've been trying to do. Now we're getting crossfired by an Alabama who's almost full health. Now, I don't know what happened to the other side of the map this entire time, but we are winning this match right now. We have the cap. Iowa just died. We have a 500 to 400 lead. We have a cruiser still alive. That cruiser's best bet is to disengage, get behind an island, and definitely do not start shooting the Alabama. I've turned in to bow tank the Alabama, and of course our Kutuzov dies to the Alabama. Now, I have 19,000 hit points. The Alabama is full health, but I also have a Vanguard behind me. So between the two of us, we should be able to easily take out this Alabama. But we've got to keep in mind that there is a destroyer behind us. So that's why I have to start closing the distance with this Alabama. And I know what you're thinking, but Spartan, that's a stupid play, because as you close the distance to the Alabama, he's going to be able to get more consistent damage on you. And you are correct. However, if I stay here, I'm going to get torpedoed to death, and there's nothing I can do about it. So my best bet is to get away from the torp threat by charging the guy that's in front of me. Now, in a brawling battle, there is no contest of which ship is better in this situation, the Alabama or the Iowa, and that is the Iowa. Iowa's hands down got the better armor of the two ships. There is no disputing that. They have similar guns in this sort of range, so you don't have to worry about accuracy or penetration, because they're both going to be able to hit and do a lot of damage. But the armor, and especially the bow armor of the Iowa, is just so much better than the Alabama's. And here he gets another lucky hit, knocking, and maybe it's not luck, maybe he is specifically targeting our front guns, and if that's the case, very good job on him. However, notice what our teammate has done here. Our teammate has run away, putting an island between him and the Alabama, leaving it me versus the Alabama, and unfortunately, with my guns getting knocked out the way they have, I just don't quite have enough to deal with the Alabama. So I set in a ramming course, and here's where the Alabama has the advantage. The Alabama's advantage here is the fact that it can absolutely outturn the Iowa. And while we were trying to lay in a ramming course, unfortunately, he's able to get out ahead of us just enough to save his life. And their destroyer has flipped all of the caps into their favor, and the Vanguard has single-handedly cost us this match. Now, looking back at what happened there, we can look at two things. First of all, did I make the right decision by charging the Alabama, knowing that I had a health disadvantage? Should I have potentially kited back into the base or used an island advantage or whatever? I don't know. But I know that I tunnel vision, and tunnel vision is a dangerous thing in this game. Meanwhile, this Vanguard, who has literally done nothing up to this point to help our win on this side since he got here. Like, I don't know what I think he got the kill on the Iowa, but other than that, like, there hasn't been a whole lot coming from the Vanguard that has inspired confidence, and sailing broadside to an Alabama, the moment you decide to pop out and actually start shooting at things from behind the island, is not the way to do it. They have the points lead, they have the ship lead, and the Vanguard has sealed our fates. He gave up all of his hit points in one salvo, and now, at any moment, there's the Moss. He gets a shot off at the Moss, doesn't manage to kill it, takes more damage from the Alabama, and I'm sure there are torpedoes on the way, because why would a destroyer get that close if torpedoes aren't on the way? And lo and behold, there are torpedoes on the way. but he made no course correction whatsoever. So, looking back at the end of this game, you can look at it in two ways. One is, the guy's a potato. The other is, if you're in that situation, dividing your team is the worst thing you can do. The cruiser should never have pushed in that close on an Iowa, period. It just never should have. I understand wanting to cap the base, but you are a long-range cruiser, a fire starter from distance, and the fact that you're closing the distance, which is your only advantage over a battleship, is the fact that you are a hard target to hit at maximum range. Pushing in that close to an Iowa, of all ships, but any battleship, when you're in that kind of cruiser, is a death sentence. You are going to die from that. So we lost our cruiser there because of it. Then the Vanguard splitting up one last time and going all the way behind the island when he could have easily helped with that Alabama. And you combine his ability to shoot the short fuse armor piercing. Maybe it's not short fuse armor piercing. I always say that. People always give me grief about it. Whether it is not, or whether he was spamming high explosive, he could have helped against the Alabama. But because he went behind the island, he took himself completely out of the play. He didn't defend the base from the destroyer. He didn't help kill the Iowa. And at the end of the day, he ends up being the only person fighting the two of them, and he does basically no damage to either of them and dies. So, breaking down the failure, we can kind of get an idea of what we need to do next time to try to avoid this. And what we can do is try next time, instead of charging the Alabama, maybe we should pay attention to what our teammate is doing and try to give him an opportunity to help us. Because us charging the Alabama, and the Vanguard going behind the island, by the time the Vanguard got to a position where he could help, I was already dead. So, in the future, what I'll try to do is try to go a different route, maybe behind the second island, to give the Vanguard a chance to come up, and then together we could take on the one enemy, and maybe that would have came out differently. Maybe. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.